Hi, I voted today, did the early voting. I was excited about it. I'm usually always excited whenever it's the general election for president to vote. And I usually vote. I'm one of those people that vote in midterms. I vote whenever there's an election, I normally vote. And I don't usually do this, but because of some of the things that I've been hearing from people who are talking about the voting, made me feel like I needed to do this. So I wanted to say two things. One, why you should vote, and two, why you should care about who you vote for. For me, it has to do with standing on the shoulders of those that came before me. And I'm not talking about people like Martin Luther King, because I don't know them. I'm talking about people that I know. And those people are people like my grandmother, my mother, and my father. Now, those are people that didn't get the right to vote when they turned 18. And reasons they didn't get right to vote had to do with not the passing of the 15th Amendment that happened in 1870. It didn't have anything to do with that. It had to do with the fact that even though that amendment was passed, they were still not given the right to vote. They were using different things to keep them from voting. They used poll taxes. They made them take literacy tests. They even had what they called a grandfather clause, which means that if your grandfather didn't vote, you couldn't vote. So it took the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to make it possible for them to be able to vote. That meant my grandmother was 57 before she had the right to vote without having problems. And if I remember correctly, that was the first time she actually did vote. My mother was 29. My dad was 31. And what made it so bad about my dad is my dad served in the Korean and the Vietnam War. So can you imagine having served for your country, but you can't vote? That's the things that made me feel that I had an obligation to vote, because I understood what they went through to get the right to vote. When I went to college, what made me even feel more about voting is that I was around people that was conscious about the things that went on for African Americans and what it took for them to get to where they are. Perhaps because I was at a HBCU and was surrounded by a lot of black individuals that had gone through some of those things, who knew some of these individuals who did the sit-in and different things like that. So maybe that was the force for me behind my getting more conscious, or it could have been when I was in high school or when I was growing up, the things that I saw that made me socially conscious, because my social conscious didn't start when I went to college the most. It started before then because of the things that I went through as a child. But even beyond all that, what was again the most important to me was when I went through that wow moment of understanding that my grandmother, who I knew, my mother, who I knew, my grandmother, who I knew, even my great-grandfather, I knew him. To know that these are individuals that didn't get the right to vote. My grandfather was in his 60s before he got the right to officially vote. And then I'm going to not vote because I don't like the individuals that are running for office, as if I personally know them. That's wrong. That is so wrong. I don't like everybody that I vote for completely, but I look at what I think are issues that I feel that they're better at doing. Yeah, I like Hillary Clinton, and I'm not going to sit here and deny that I like her. I do like her. I almost voted for her when she first ran in 2008. But I didn't do it because she was Hillary Clinton. I did it because I was basing it on her history and the things that she tried to accomplish. Yeah, sometimes people may say a few stupid things along the way, but she wasn't one of them. But again, going back to the voting, the problem for me is that I hear some people, and I've had people say it to me verbally, I've had people say it to me on Facebook, and I've heard people say it on TV, where they take their vote so cavalier as if, I'm going to go and vote for Donald Duck. Well, Donald Duck can't do anything to help you. That's a waste of your vote. And that's what you don't want to do, is waste that vote. Because you want to try to put the best person in office that you think not only will help you, but will help future generations. Because you can believe that what person you vote for now will affect the future. You may not believe it, but it does. The other thing I've heard somebody say in my talking with them is that it's divine intervention. Well, tell me how divine intervention works when you don't work. See, it's like prayer. It's like praying to win the lottery and I'm sitting in a chair and I don't play. And I'm not saying you should play, but I'm just giving an analogy. It's like saying I hope I get that job, but I don't apply for it because I feel divine intervention is going to come in and make it possible for me. Divine intervention only happens when it works. You have to work for something to happen to create a divine intervention. It's like people have luck. I feel that people have the luck because they're in the right place at the right time, because they did the right thing at the right time to be there. So you can't just sit there and take your vote and feel so nonchalant about it because you don't like the individuals that are running for office. You're not supposed to personally like them. You're supposed to look at what they are talking about doing for you in this community and feel that they're the best for the job. That's why I question those people who are voting for Donald Trump. How can you vote for a man who has proven to you time and time again that he's a misogynist, he's a racist, and that he doesn't know how to handle money? How many more bankruptcies does he need to show you he does not know how to handle money? How many more people do you have to hear from that will tell you that he didn't pay them for the work that they did? How many people did it require for you to hear those things from, for you to know that this man cannot balance a budget? What other college is he going to have to start and show it was a scam in order for you to believe he doesn't know what he's doing? I don't get it. And then he goes to these rallies and he incites people to be violent against other people. They're talking about jailing Hillary Clinton. And I'm still trying to figure out what in her emails make it where she should be convicted of a crime. I still haven't heard it. And all this rhetoric that's going on about her emails, I'm still waiting on somebody to tell me what she has done in her emails that rise up to the level of a crime. I can tell you what Donald Trump did when he sat there talking about groping a woman. Now, you all are all up in arms about this woman, about these emails, but you're not all up in arms about this man talking about groping women. The same man that talked about going into these dressing rooms of women during the pageants so he could see them. This man who did this talk while he was married to a woman who was pregnant. See, those are things that you can't rationalize those things. What are you going to do when you get into the office? Are you going to say, oh, that's okay? We knew that's what he was like. While the rest of the world look at us as a joke, and then the rest of the world don't look up to us and respect us the way that they have. See, we claim that we're this country that's open to people and all of this, and we're talking about electing a man that has talked about Mexicans as if they were all rapists and murderers and all that. Their crime is less than the rest of us. So we have to stop taking this as a joke. You have to be conscious of your vote. And it's the same thing when you're looking at a third party. I don't have an issue with third parties. I wish there was a third party that actually has some substance to what they're saying, so that your vote wouldn't seem to be wasted on a third party. But right now, your vote would be wasted on a third party. Because if you vote for a third party that you know has no chance of winning, you're taking the vote away from someone who does have a chance of winning. And I don't mean Donald Trump. So be mindful of your vote. Make sure you vote, because this election is very important. Just think, a church was just burnt and somebody put a sign on the side of the church say, "Vote for Trump." He talked about people trying to do things at the election where they're voting all these different times and taking it away from him. And the people that are getting caught are the people who are going to vote for him. So really, take your time and think about it. Do your research about these individuals that you're looking at voting for. And then vote for the best person. And right now, that best person is not Donald Trump. So, again, this is my opinion, but I had to voice my opinion because of what I'm hearing from individuals out there that are talking about this election and not understanding the significance of your vote in this election. And to me, quite frankly, this is really almost as more significant than when President Obama was elected. And the only reason I say that is because of who her opponent is. So don't stay home. But when you do go to the polls, don't just vote just to be doing it because people are getting on you about voting. No, vote because you're looking down at these individuals that's coming up behind you and you're telling them what kind of legacy you want to leave for them. Because that's what you're doing. When you're voting, you're leaving a legacy. So what legacy are you going to leave for them? A person who talks the way Donald Trump does and has demonstrated how bad he can do things. A vote for someone who has shown you that she do care, who has experience being in government. You may not like her, but you're not supposed to personally know her. I like her because she's a fighter and she has shown that through everything that people have put her through, that she still comes out on top. So again, vote. Just like I did, vote. And be glad that you did. And feel good about your vote when you finish. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I may have said too much, but I needed to say it. You all have a blessed day. And again, don't forget to vote.